Today, we're doing something a bit different. We are exploring a completely different kind of blueprint. It's a thought-provoking vision for a future where humanity no longer governs the Earth alone.
Which is a wild concept.
It really is. A future where we actually co-govern alongside plants and animals.
It's a profound conceptual shift, truly. Our mission today is to explore a specific piece of literature. It's chapter 17 of Mahendra Shah's book, The Awakening.
Yeah, specifically the chapter called The Living in Harmony Covenant.
Right. And to set the stage for you, this text isn't a traditional political treaty. You're not going to find standard legal or bureaucratic jargon here.
No spreadsheets or zoning laws.
Exactly. It's a narrative detailing the formation of what Shah calls a joint Earth Commission.
Yeah.
The author is essentially asking this fundamental question. What would governance look like if we stopped writing treaties with ink and started writing them through the mechanics of how we actually interact with the natural world?
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the way Shah structures this fictional governance system is radically different from anything we see today. But the underlying mechanics are highly relevant to you and me right now.
Absolutely.
To start, Shah paints the picture of this first gathering of the Joint Earth Commission. And there are no marble halls, there are no national flags.
Right.
And there are absolutely no elevated podiums anywhere.
None of the usual power symbols?
Yeah. The entire proceeding takes place under a borderless banyan tree. The attendees just sit in a circle and the seats rotate.
That rotation is key.
It is. Sometimes a human elder occupies a seat. Sometimes it's a child. You might have a grandmother from the highlands pass her seat to a fisher's daughter. And the remaining seats are occupied by representatives of the plant and animal kingdoms.
The dynamics of power are entirely inverted in this setting. Because, think about a typical human council.
The loudest person usually wins.
Right. The loudest, the largest, or the most heavily armed entity usually commands the floor. But in this commission, Shah makes a very deliberate choice. The lion doesn't speak first.
Right.
A snail does.
A snail.
Yes. And the snail offers the opening statement of the proceedings, just stating that speed or size has no bearing on wisdom.
Wow.
It immediately establishes the rules of engagement for the whole text. We're operating under a completely different structural paradigm here, one that values perspective over physical dominance.
And Shah introduces some really fascinating new roles for this council, too. One that really stood out is the steward of the echoes.
Oh, that's a brilliant concept.
It's so good because in our current political systems, we often see a tendency to, bury past mistakes or sort of gloss over unresolved historical conflicts.
Move fast and break things.
Yeah.
Just look forward.
Exactly. But Shah's steward is a role specifically designed to actively carry old grievances and ancestral wounds right into the gathering. And they don't do this alone. They are accompanied by elephants.
The great memory keepers.
Right, the memory keepers of the animal kingdom. And they also walk with the descendants of humans who historically cut down the forests.
Mm-hmm.
Together, they recite the wrongs of the past so that, as Shah describes it, new roots can grow without choking on the past.
It is a striking representation of restorative justice rather than punitive justice. It's not about punishment or endless guilt.
Right, it's about healing.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging the wound as a necessary step for structural healing. And Shah extends that philosophy to how this world handles borders and travel, which is fascinating.
Oh, the pact.
Yes. In this society, passports do not exist. They're replaced by what the text calls pacts. And a pact is based entirely on contribution, not on your territorial origin.
Wait, so if passports are replaced by pacts based on contribution, like the text mentions a desert child being allowed to enter a lush rainforest only if they bring stories of sand for the soil.
Right.
Or mountain dwellers needing to bring the patience learned from snowfall just to access the coast. How does Shah explain that actually working at scale? It sounds highly poetic, but wouldn't that be inherently chaotic from a logistical standpoint?
Well, that is exactly the friction Shah is playing with here.
Mm-hmm.
He is less concerned with the logistical bureaucracy of border control and more focused on shifting the philosophy of what a border actually is.
Okay.
He's turning the concept of Earth citizenship from a passive right based on where you happen to be born into an active, tangible, daily practice. You earn your movement through what you add to the ecosystem you're entering.
That is a huge shift, and the enforcement of these rules is equally unconventional.
Definitely.
The text outlines how nature itself provides the checks and balances. If the commission makes a decision that threatens the balance of the ecosystem, you don't need human enforcement.
No police force required.
Exactly. The fungi underground will actually warn the council through early decay in their networks. Or, if policies go too far astray, the bees will withdraw pollination from certain crops as a signal of unrest.
Like a biological strike.
Yeah. And the human response in the text isn't to forcefully fix it or panic. They watch, they adjust, and they respect the boundary.
Which leads directly into how this society measures progress. What's fascinating here is how Shaw completely discards the rigid, static metrics we are so used to.
The spreadsheets.
Exactly. There are no massive, abstract 10-year plans. Instead, the Commission uses 5-year rhythms. Shaw describes this timeline as being tender, actually comparing it to the growing fingernails of a child.
That's such a striking image.
It is. It's measurable, but it requires constant, delicate tending rather than strict top-down enforcement.
And the audits themselves are a huge departure from reality. Like you said, no corporate spreadsheets. Shaw describes the Commission's documents as being sung into stone or etched in bark.
The Oaxaca example is incredible.
Yes. In one specific example from the highlands of Oaxaca, the audits take the form of embroidered tapestries tracing the seasons. The local school children are given needles to conduct the auditing. A completed stitch represents an audit done, but a skipped stitch serves as an official warning.
If we translate that poetic imagery into our current world, Shaw is essentially arguing for hyperlocal, decentralized data collection.
Right.
Instead of a centralized corporate spreadsheet disconnected from the reality on the ground, the metrics are held and maintained by the community itself. A skipped stitch in an embroidery is a biological feedback loop. It's a localized, deeply communal form of accountability.
And that ties perfectly into how Shaw reframes the concept of failure. In this text, if a forest fails to revive, it isn't tossed into a bin of failed projects. It is classified as a wound.
A wound, right.
If a village doesn't meet its goals, they don't look for a scapegoat to fire. The Commission asks one guiding question. What did the plan forget to see?
I love that phrasing.
Me too. And then they listen to the audit reports. The red panda from the eastern Himalayas reports that 7 new springs have returned. A coastal grandmother brings kelp to the council and reports that the children no longer fear the waves. They harvest salt and return turtles to their nests.
Such grounded metrics.
Yeah, and a child from Nairobi draws a circle in the dirt to demonstrate that their heat shadows have grown shorter because they successfully planted 4,000 neem trees.
Shaw uses these specific examples to show that every audit is returned to the environment that birthed it. It isn't anonymized global data. It is hyperlocal reality.
Right.
The core insight here is that Shaw is proposing a governance model built on living feedback loops rather than static targets. Truth is treated as something that can be counted, certainly, but also physically observed and experienced in the actual environment.
Think about that concept for a second. How would it change your workplace or even just how you approach your personal goals if you treated your failures as wounds needing translation rather than just bad metrics?
It changes everything.
If every time a project derailed, instead of looking for who to blame, you paused and asked, what did the plan forget to see?
It is a profound shift in mindset, and it requires the kind of deep listening skills that the humans in Shaw's text are forced to learn.
Yeah.
This becomes especially clear when the plant kingdom, which is referred to as the Green Council, takes the floor. Shaw notes that they don't speak with booming voices. Their communication is described as thoughts blooming like scent on the breeze.
While the structure of the commission sets the foundation, Shaw really uses the Green Council to explore themes of agriculture, resilience, and infrastructure. Rice is the first emissary to speak. And Rice notes that it bends in the wind not out of weakness, but specifically to share space. Then maize comes forward. And Shaw uses the character of maize to present a sharp critique of modern industrialized agriculture.
Oh, the monoculture critique.
Right. Maize talks about once being honored in ceremony, but now being cloned for endless, sterile monocultures. The plant issues a very direct warning to the humans. Diversity is not inefficiency, it is resilience.
It's a clear argument against the homogenization of global food systems. Shaw then groups bamboo and mycorrhizal fungi together to tackle the concept of infrastructure and symbiosis.
Okay.
Bamboo, being the fastest growing plant on Earth, explains that it doesn't use its speed to choke the forest. Instead, it stabilizes slopes and stores carbon. Bamboo's lesson is that survival is symbiotic, not solitary.
Right.
And you cannot discuss symbiosis without the mycorrhizal fungi. For those who might need a brief refresher, mycorrhizal networks are the vast underground fungal systems that physically connect the roots of trees, allowing them to share nutrients and communicate.
Right, the wood wide web.
Exactly.
The fungi speak through the roots of an ancient oak in the text, reminding the humans of this exact network beneath their feet. They emphasize that human lungs depend entirely on plant photosynthesis, and human food chains begin with these fungal roots. Shaw is illustrating that our civic infrastructure is entirely reliant on natural infrastructure.
Exactly. The text then shifts to the theme of time and long-term thinking. The baobab tree points out its role in storing water for dry seasons, literally outliving human empires as the tree of life.
Yeah, and the baobab poses a haunting question to the commission. When humans cut it down for short-term economic gain, what will their grandchildren drink when it is gone?
Shaw synthesizes this historical weight through the ancient olive tree. The olive tree tells the human representatives that it has watched countless civilizations forget these basic ecological truths and just vanish.
The quote from the olive tree is particularly striking.
Yes.
You are clever, yes, but cleverness without reverence is ruinous.
The core message Shaw delivers through the Green Council is unanimous. Humans are woven into the web of life, not positioned above it. The argument is that if the green threads of this web snap, humanity inevitably falls with them. You simply cannot engineer your way out of a collapsed ecosystem.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Following the plants, the text moves to the animal kingdom. And while the plants outline the structural foundation of this world, Shaw uses the animal emissaries to systematically dismantle human social behaviors.
Yeah, it gets intense here.
The lion begins by redefining our concept of power. It states that its pride only hunts for hunger, arguing that restraint is the actual wisdom of survival, not the endless accumulation of resources.
Right.
The elephant follows, sending deep vibrations through the ground, imploring humans to use their long memory and to stop severing their kinship with the soil.
Shaw uses these animals to offer a sharp mirror to societal flaws. He uses the wolf to critique the human obsession with the lone genius or the completely self-made individual. The wolf reminds the council that no lone wolf survives the winter. Life only thrives in community and in packs. Then Shaw introduces the octopus, which can solve puzzles with 3 hearts and 8 arms, but only takes what fits in its den.
I love the octopus part.
It's so good. The octopus advocates for intelligence without arrogance. The idea of using advanced cognition to adapt and harmonize with an environment rather than to dominate it.
The contrasts Shaw draws in this section are really stark. He then moves into a critique of industrial externalities. The polar bear's voice is described as wind over thinning ice. It states, I do not burn fossil fuels, yet your fire melts my world from afar.
That's a heavy line.
It is. It asks humans to simply cool their flame. The whale echoes this, reminding the commission that the sea is a living heart, not just a warehouse of fish to be extracted. It asks humanity to still its engines so the waters can breathe.
The final thematic grouping in the Animal Masterclass focuses on education and societal values. Shaw uses the orangutan to point out that it spends 8 years teaching its young to weave a nest and to simply be still and listen.
To just be.
Yeah. The orangutan suggests humans should teach their children to tend and wonder, rather than conditioning them solely to compete and win. Finally, the honeybee delivers a crucial observation regarding human ego, warning that the human I has grown so loud that it completely drowns out the we.
That concept, the human eye growing too loud, really sets the stage for the emotional climax of Chapter 17. The commission has heard from the elders, the plants, and the predators. But Shaw saves the final speaking slot for a young koala bear from the mist-shrouded forests of Borneo.
Now, as an aside, Shaw introduces a koala, and he places it in the mist-shrouded forests of Borneo. Koalas are, of course, native to Australia, not Borneo, and they're marsupials, not bears.
Right.
This is an interesting geographic and biological liberty on the author's part. However, within the context of the narrative, this surreal placement actually adds to the borderless nature of the gathering. The koala serves as the ultimate representative of severe displacement, bridging different ecosystems to highlight a global rather than regional crisis.
That makes a lot of sense. The specific grievances Shaw gives to the koala are devastatingly grounded in modern reality, though. The animal talks about the smoke from burning peatlands stinging its eyes. It describes how the durian trees its ancestors knew have vanished, replaced by endless, sterile rows of palm oil plantations that offer no shade.
Just oil for human bottles and engines.
Exactly. It describes a stream that now runs thick and brown, poisoned by the conveniences of human industry.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Shaw uses the koala to highlight a stark contradiction in human behavior regarding resource distribution. The koala recounts observing a starving child on the streets of Jakarta.
Yeah.
That child, who had absolutely nothing, still chose to share her last rice ball with a stray dog. The koala poses a direct question to the human representatives. If a child with nothing can find a way to give, why do humans who possess immense wealth and technology continue to take so relentlessly?
It's a devastating question, and the bear doesn't just leave it at a philosophical critique. Shaw uses this final speaker to deliver an absolute ultimatum to the commission.
The turning point.
The koala warns the humans that if they fail the covenant, if they continue to prioritize the roaring of their machines over the biological health of the web of life, there will be no more gatherings under the banyan tree. There will be no more speeches left to give. There will only be silence. And, as Shaw writes, silence is the sound of extinction.
It is an incredibly sobering conclusion to the testimonies. The chapter details how the koala's statement is met with a massive, unending ovation from all the species present.
Just overwhelming applause.
The applause is so overwhelming that the chairman of the commission can barely intervene to close the proceedings. When silence finally falls, the chair being issues a final call to action, urging the human delegates to take the testimonies of the plants and animals and respond with a concrete declaration of their commitments, actionable steps to fulfill the principles of the covenant.
So what does this all mean for you and me? We are obviously analyzing a work of fiction. There is no literal banyan tree where global leaders are debating zoning laws with a snail and a displaced koala.
Sadly, no.
But Shaw's underlying thesis is incredibly practical. He is challenging us to evaluate the metrics we use to define success. He is arguing for governance systems that value ecological resilience over endless extraction, and reminding us that technological cleverness is ultimately useless if we lack reverence for the biological systems that keep us alive.
This raises an important question about how we view our place in the world. Shaw is urging a transition from an egocentric worldview where humanity sits at the top of a pyramid to an ecocentric one where we are just one interdependent thread in a much larger tapestry.
We're part of the web.
Right. Our long-term survival relies entirely on the health of the broader network.
Exactly. And I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over today as you go about your routine. We spent a lot of time discussing Shaw's concepts of Earth citizenship and hyper-local ecosystem representation. Think about your own immediate neighborhood for a moment. Look at the concrete sidewalks, the forgotten weeds pushing through the cracks, the local wildlife, the birds, the squirrels, the insects. If your neighborhood suddenly elected a steward of echoes to walk into your living room today, what forgotten ancestral wound would they ask you to heal first?
That's a powerful question.
And what specific pact would you have to sign just to earn the right to walk out your front door tomorrow?
It is a framework that forces us to consider our daily complicity, but also our immense potential for daily localized healing.
It really is. Thank you for giving us your time and your curiosity today. It is always a privilege to explore these complex ideas with you. Until next time, take care.